Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Ways and Means Committee. Today's Tuesday, March 23rd. We have a hearing on 6 bills today. As a reminder to everyone, when it's Senate bills coming over, it's will almost always be sponsor only, and we're not hearing bills we've heard before, or we're hearing them only if they're maybe substantially different. So again, just 6 bills, sponsor only. We'll start with Senator Waldstreicher for Senate Bill 10.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Everyone should be able to vote free from fear or intimidation. That's especially true during these trying times. This bill bans firearms at polling places and within 100 feet of a polling place. It, of course, makes exceptions for law enforcement officers. 10 states already have this law. That includes blue states like California that are traditionally pro-gun safety. It includes red states like Texas that allow open carry and are traditionally pro-Second Amendment. We took a Republican friendly amendment on the Senate side just to make clear that off-duty officers are also allowed to carry their firearms. I ask for a favorable report.
Thank you, Senator Waldstreicher. Do we have any questions for Senator Waldstreicher? Delegate Shoemaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, we've heard often in our committee that there haven't been any documented cases of voter fraud in this state, particularly in recent years. Do we have any, Senator, do we have any documented cases of voter intimidation by folks packing firearms in recent memory in the state of Maryland?
Sure, good question. Not to my recollection, but of course, if someone were intimidated from voting by a display of a firearm, we might not necessarily know that. It could just be returning home. We also know that the events of January 6th changed the way we approach things, and that this may be wise in light of that incident.
Okay, thank you, Senator.
All right, thank you, Delegate Shoemaker. Delegate Long?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator, I looked over your bill. One of the concerns I have, wondering what your thoughts are, people that can have a concealed wear permit and have been threatened, they'd be working the polls, be within 100 feet. They're not displaying the gun, it's a concealed weapon. Would you consider adding that into the bill? Because back during when the governor was reelected after that, during that time, he actually had a threat towards his life, actually during inauguration, myself also. And, these are real. And just, these are real threats. And, I am concerned for my protection and other people that might be at the poll that are carrying a weapon.
Thank you, Delegate. I defer to the wisdom of the chair, the vice chair, and the committee in terms of carving out other folks in the bill.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Senator. Any other questions for Senator Waldstreicher? All right, thank you, Senator. Thanks for joining us today. We're done with the hearing on Senate Bill 10. We'll go to Senator Elfreth, Senate Bill 283. And while we're not generally hearing identical cross files, I presume then that this is different. So if you can, in addition to summarizing whatever you're planning to tell us, but talk mostly about the differences, that would be helpful.
Sure. Well, thank you, Madam Chair. Good to see everyone. It's good to see my district mate. I don't get to see her often anymore. For the record, Senator Sarah Elfreth, representing Maryland's District 30, here to talk about Senate Bill 283, which is, the chair was correct, is a cross of the majority leader's bill that this committee has heard and passed. We made some tweaks in the Senate, but folks will recall this is the Student and Military Voter Empowerment Act, which its goal is to make it a little bit easier for college students who have tend to have a lower turnout record, active duty military who have some hindrances to them voting, especially when they're overseas, and for folks living in large residential institutions like a military base like I have at the Naval Academy here in this district, or large retirement communities. This bill tries to make it a little bit easier for all of those groups to participate in the voting process. You know those pieces of the bill. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. The Senate made 3 changes to the bill. It was originally cross-filed as a direct match, but the changes the Senate made, one describes the reasonable accommodations piece that the state board and local boards should work with larger residential institutions. It kind of puts some parameters around what reasonable accommodations and collaborations means. The second change, it removes the requirement for a 2-hour excused absence for students to vote. The bill had that as it came in. Delegate Lukey and I've had many a conversation on this. We're both college professors and we both give our students excused absentees when they're voting, but the Senate just felt like students have a lot of different ways to vote right now and that this was not necessary for the bill. And the third was a floor amendment that we accepted from Senator Justin Reedy to clarify the student voting plan may not disseminate information regarding how a student should vote or how a student or who a student should vote for. So just trying to put some parameters around what the student voting coordinator can and cannot do. And I think that's a reasonable accommodation that we made. And the bill passed unanimously. And I ask for a favorable report.
Any questions for Senator Elfreth? All right, thank you, Senator. Good to see you today.
Good to see you. Thank you.
We're done with the hearing on Senate Bill 283. Gonna take these a little out of order so we can go with the senators before the staff people who are here. We'll go to Senator Washington on Senate Bill 596. And as well, if you can focus more on the differences, because I think we did a similar bill here, Senator Washington. Senator Washington is on the screen, but not talking to us. All right, we will switch back to Ms. Cara Contino, who's here on behalf of Senator Simon Ayer for Senate Bill 296.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Cara Contino, Chief of Staff for Senator Brian Simon Ayer. Senate Bill 296 is a simple bill to protect contributors who supply their name, address, and phone number. So what does the bill do? A person using the donor information cannot use it for commercial purposes directly or indirectly through publication. Contributions and details are made publicly available through reports, and there should be safeguards in place to protect their information. It passed the Senate unanimously, and I would request a favorable report. We also have Jared Demarinis here to answer any technical questions.
Any questions for Ms. Contino or any questions for Mr. Demarinis? Delegate Wilkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for your testimony, Ms. Contino. I wanted to know more about you are saying this bill is referring to when someone puts a contribution and we report our contributions and they're publicly available online and not using that information for commercial purposes like outside entities, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, I just wanted to get some more background in terms of the need for the bill, if this is something that we've seen taken place, and sort of some more just background on how this came about.
Yeah, sure. I'll actually defer to Jared. He'll be able to provide additional information to answer your questions.
All right, Mr. Demarinis.
Yes, yeah, thank you, Chair. Jared Demarinis, Director of Candidacy and Campaign Finance, for the record. Chair Wilkins, this is also this was modeled after the federal legislation that was passed in 1976. So the federal government has a similar prohibition on use of campaign-related contributor data. We've received numerous requests, basically for the entire download of all contributions and expenditures made by political committees, and because there is no safeguards like voter registration data where it has to be used for electoral purposes, it can be used for any purpose that they want to use to cut the data with. So this would just put safeguards on the information that is publicly available. It will not impact campaigns from receiving the information, or newspapers or press outlets, nor academics that would use it for studies. Basically, this would just prevent, say, from an entity trying to sell like a commercial product or some sort of other entity and using this data in their mass data collection efforts. And this bill was in front of the House last year, but because of everything, did not make it over to the Senate, and it was. But so this has been heard before as well, and the state board supports this bill as well.
Thank you, Mr. Demarais. There was another question. Delegate Butler?
Oh, Madam Chair, Jared actually, in his answer, answered my question, so thank you.
Okay. All right, excellent. Are there any other questions? All right, thank you very much. Thank you for coming today from the Senator's office. We do next have Senator Washington on Senate Bill 596.
Thank you, colleagues. It's wonderful to see you all here. You're my first House bill, House cross file. You're familiar with this. We're extending opportunities for people to vote during the early voting. The only difference is that our committee felt that in order to standardize when people vote, regardless of whether they're early voting or they're voting during the general, that we have the polling places opened at the same time and extending that to 7:30. Additionally, there are members that were concerned about individuals, as we get out of COVID and people are going back to work, that they are leaving their homes earlier, particularly those that work in the, Virginia, Washington, D.C. area, and finding themselves leaving their home at 6 a.m., providing them an opportunity to vote. So except for that difference, I ask for you, in addition to that difference, I ask for you to accept that committee amendment and a favorable report.
I just want to clarify, Senator, you mean that rather than opening at 8, it's going to open at 7:30 in the morning?
So, yeah, it's 7, so it's the same time that we open for regular.
7:30, which is why I wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Oh, I apologize. I meant 7.
You may have said it right. I just may have heard wrong. Any questions for Senator Washington? All right. Thank you very much, Senator. Drive safely.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. We're done with the hearing on Senate Bill 596. We'll move on to Senate Bill 310. It's a departmental bill, and we have Mr. Demarais here.
Thank you, Chair. Again, Jared Demarais, Director of Candidacy and Campaign Finance for the Maryland State Board of Elections. Maryland State Board of Elections supports this legislation. It was heard last year in this committee and had passed out. The proposed bill removes one of the conditions for triggering when a campaign finance entity has to terminate and file its final report. It removes the provision that's the date of the entity's payment of the final debt or other obligation incurred with that candidacy. This is a subjective deadline. So it would just leave the triggering conditions as the later of the individual's most recent term of office or the date of the election in which the individual was last filed candidate. These are easy dates for candidates, responsible officers, and the State Board of Elections to determine, and allows better enforcement for the State Board to require termination on authorized candidates committees when they're required to close. We took the amendment from this committee last year for the departmental, which requires notice to the candidate and responsible officers before the termination. So we'll send out that notice at least 6 months prior to the date of the termination, so that they'll be well aware of that that they need to start closing their committee. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, we do have a few questions, or at least one question, sorry. We'll start with Delegate Hornberger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question, because we've had a few folks in my district that have basically just forgotten, abandoned, set account, and that's really what we're looking to closure here, is these accounts that are dormant, don't want to stay active anymore. So if for some reason the treasurer and the candidate, maybe even the chairperson, move, pass away, etc., could you just kind of tell us what it looks like if you're not able to contact them?
In that case, we have other provisions with it. I mean, if they owe us late fees or anything, we have administrative closure process that we can initiate if the candidate dies, or if there is no more responsible officers for that committee to help close out those accounts. But
Okay,
this
great.
is kind of like a part of the cleanup process here so that we can then start going in here and saying, these are committees that haven't really done anything for the past 8 years or so. Most likely they're, what are their intentions? So this is a part of the cleanup.
Great. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Demarinis? All right, thank you. Seeing none.
Wait,
Madam Chair,
I think,
Yes,
sorry, I'm having trouble finding the reaction that can raise my hand for me. So just waving here. Thank you. Mr. Demarinis, I know that we heard this bill last year, but in the mix of everything going on, I don't really remember all the full details and background. Can you share with us briefly current law and how you handle campaigns that are dormant and kind of connect that to this bill?
so, I mean, this is a very small subsect here. I mean, these are campaigns that haven't been active for 8 years or so. Usually in the process there, we try to help close them or facilitate their closure. The issue here was when we've had a few debates over this idea of the subjective deadline of this last payment of a debt in association with an election. Basically, we can't determine when that is because, it might be the election in which they're running for. It might have been an election that they were thinking about running in, that they want to then change the deadline, and we work with that. Here, it kind of clears that up and makes it a very firm deadline for us that you basically have 8 years between your last date of your term of office or the date in which you're a filed candidate. The other campaigns that you speak of here that move forward here, we try to resolve because either that they forget to file their reports and we deal with them with the state prosecutor's office because then they start racking up late fees, at which point they don't even expect notice from the state prosecutor's office, at which then we have to go through the administrative closure process because either they've left the state or other extraordinary circumstances have occurred. So that's kind of the overview of how we try to help close these committees. And then anybody else that, we work with the committees that want to close and distribute their extra funds, the surplus funds in the manner as statutorily defined.
all right, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we're done with the hearing on Senate Bill 310. We'll move to Senate Bill 325 on tax sales, a departmental bill. We have the Director Michael Higgs here.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair Kaiser, members of the committee. I'm Michael Higgs, Director of the State Department of Assessments and Taxation. Senate Bill 325 reduces the payoff amount for homeowners redeeming their property after a tax sale when that redemption occurs between July 1st and December 31st. Current law requires the county tax collector to add any taxes that accrue after the tax sale date to the redemption payoff amount and requires that the next fiscal year's property taxes be added to the payoff amount when the bill becomes due on July 1st. Adding the new tax bill to the required payoff amount can add a significant obstacle to homeowners' abilities to find the funds they need to redeem their sold tax lien certificates, sometimes even doubling those payoff amounts. The longer a homeowner takes to redeem, the more interest and fees they're charged, thus further increasing the payoff amount and keeping them out of their homes longer. Under this bill, only accrued delinquent taxes would be added to the redemption payoff amount, giving the homeowner more time to redeem their home at a lower payoff amount, and the new fiscal year tax bill would not be added to the redemption payoff amount until October 1st. These extra months give the homeowner more time to assemble the funds needed to redeem their property and at a lower redemption amount during that period. With a lower redemption amount, the homeowner is able to pay off the lien sooner, reducing interest and fees. This bill was passed unanimously in both the committee and the Senate floor. I respectfully request that you support Senate Bill 325.
Thank you, Mr. Higgs. Any questions? Any questions? All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Higgs. Seeing no questions on Senate Bill 325, members, we are done with the hearing for today. There will be some Senate bills over the next 2+ weeks that we may accept testimony on if they are particularly large, super controversial or something else, but generally we'll be quick like today. If there's nothing else for the good of the body, I'm imagining that subcommittees aren't planning on meeting anytime soon. So I do think revenues is talking about Thursday or Friday, so stay tuned on that. Oh, there's Delegate Lupie.
Yeah, revenues will be Thursday immediately after the bill hearing.
So if there's nothing else, I'll see you all.
Madam Chair.
Enjoy the day.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say that we are going to be meeting tomorrow.
Oh, you are? Okay.
The Education Subcommittee will be meeting tomorrow following the floor session if we have one. If not, we'll be meeting around 11:30.
Okay.
Session.
All right. Sorry for almost skipping it. I didn't imagine many meetings this week. Anybody else? All right. Seeing some shaking heads. All right. See y'all later.